Hey, this is Matt once again. We're about to the video. Can I do that without covering my mouth? Hey, this is a video. Zero Cool, very nice guy. One of my good friends on here, John, Zero Cool. He sent in a paid request. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos or topics or randomness, whatever it may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. Now, he wanted me to talk about the Flintstones from 1994. Now, the Flintstones, obviously this is a film that's been wanting to get made for a while, based on a very popular cartoon, which I didn't grow up much with it. I know of it, kind of like a cartoon version of the Honeymooners. To the moon, Alice. But I know for the 80s they were trying, I think at one point Richard Donner was going to direct it, and there's a few others. Ultimately, Steven Spielberg wanted to get this film made. I remember John Goodman told the story about they were making the film Always. And they get ready to test out the script, everyone's around, and then Steven Spielberg got up and said, "Folks, I know about ready to read for Always, but I just want everyone to know, I have found my Fred Flintstone." And he looked at John Goodman. And John Goodman felt he was sandbagged, meaning he didn't really want to do the role, but it's kind of like, number one, Steven Spielberg wants you to do it, and if you say no to Spielberg, he didn't say this, but this would be reading between the lines, read between the lines, that if he didn't do this, maybe he would get, career-wise, who knows? There was talks that if he said no, the film would not be made, so that's a lot of jobs that are in this sort of... I mean, you gotta think that's a responsibility, that if this film doesn't get made, a lot of people are not going to be able to work. So that messes with your psyche. And so you got a choice. You go, okay, fine, I'll get probably a decent payday and it'll be a big film. And it was a big hit. I mean, when this film came out, it cost $40 million or so. It made over $100 million in the U.S. alone. It was a big box office hit. That's why I'm surprised there was not a sequel right away. Now, there was a prequel quite a few years afterward. But again, I'm surprised that there wasn't a sequel right after. Because I said it made 150 million in the U.S. And the budget was like 40. Pretty decent sized hit, but no one returned for that. The fact that they did one so many years later, and then it was a prequel. I feel like John Goodman didn't want to come back. Rick Moranis didn't want to come back. So there you go. Now, the director they got is the same guy who directed Beethoven. He would also go on to direct Jingle All the Way, which I enjoy, with Arnold Schwarzenegger. He also did The Spy Next Door, which is pretty awful. Now, I remember at the time, McDonald's had these glass mugs. And I remember them looking pretty cool. And they're definitely a collector's item. And I think I remember, when I was a kid, I remember that more than the movie. And watch it again, it's crazy with the cast in this. Not only John Goodman, who's a good actor. He was on the TV show Roseanne. I remember him more from Arachnophobia, which I think is a very underrated movie. The fact that it doesn't have a special edition with features dumbfounds me. Because that was a hit. It has a Blu-ray, but when it first came out on DVD, it didn't even have the spider on the cover. It was just a moon. I'm like, what is this? Fear of the moon? The full moon? Had to wait for the Blu-ray to get the spider back on the cover. Because, again, if you get the DVD Arachnophobia, there's supposed to be a spider in the middle, but it's gone, so it looks like someone's afraid of the full moon. Well, I mean, there's certain full moons you could be afraid of, but not that type of full moon. And you can find on YouTube John Goodman, when they do like a retrospective of his career, like with G2 or something else, he talks about Arachnophobia. And he's positive on it. But go figure. Anyway, John Goodman, which he does fit as Fred Flintstone. He was a good fit. Rick Moranis is Barney Rubble. I like Rick Moranis. I don't know how much of a fit he was. Apparently they wanted Danny DeVito. I do think Danny DeVito would have worked better. It's just, I think of the cartoon, and Rick Moranis, again, Rick Moranis wasn't bad. It's just, I don't know if he was a good fit for Barney. Especially, I don't know. Kyle MacLachlan was the evil boss. Halle Berry was his secretary. I forgot Halle Berry was in this. Elizabeth Taylor as the mother-in-law. One of the last films that Elizabeth Taylor did. And here's the thing with this film. I don't mind it as a time waster because, number one, I do think they did a nice job with the set design. They did a nice job with the look of the film to make it look like the Stone Age, but it's this fantasy version of the Stone Age. So the vehicles that are driven by your feet, the Stone Age version of a bowling alley, when it uses CG, it's not good. It holds up terribly, but there's a lot of good puppetry work. Like Dino, their dog, which is a dinosaur. When it's CGI, it looks awful. But when it's puppetry work, animatronic work, it looks pretty cool. Same with, like, they have this garbage disposal, which is this, like, pig-like creature. Nice puppetry with that. There's other creatures, like when Fred Flintstone gets his job, high-paying job, vice president job, he has this bird, what they call a dicta bird, meaning if he needs help writing things, knowing things, this bird would tell him. It's like equipment. Again, very nice animatronic puppetry work. I think the guy who voiced him was it Harvey Korman? The bad guy in Blazing Saddles? Or was it someone else? I can't remember his name. So if I got it wrong, I apologize. But you can tell there's a bit of love put in this because of the set design, because of the look of this world. And even recreating the intro and the outro of the cartoon pretty respectably. And like I said, Fred Flintstone, John Goodman was the right fit for the role. It's just, I can enjoy it on that aspect. The music, for the most part, does a nice job recreating, does that work? Recreating the music, the tone of the cartoon. But number one is the comedy is just not that funny. And number two, the story sucks. To be blunt, the story sucks. That sinks the film a bit for me. When it was the first chunk of it, just them doing their day-to-day life, I actually thought it was better. Okay, he loaned money to Barney, they got the kid is Bam Bam. Wilma's very glad that Fred did such a nice thing. I didn't deal with this garbage disposal, them going out bowling. It's not hilarious, it's not funny, but it's just like, okay, you're marveling the environment, the set design, the world that they were trying to build. I think John Goodman, for what he could do with the script, did as well as he could. The woman who played Wilma, she was kind of boring. I mean, I guess she was alright, but she didn't make much of an impression to me. I mean, in one ear out the other. I remember Wilma in the cartoon, the few bits I saw. Again, I didn't grow up with it, but I have seen bits and pieces. That Wilma had a bit more attitude and spunk to her compared to this Wilma. And Betty did not fit at all. Rosie O'Donnell as Betty. Oh, just because she got a little bit of the laugh. But she doesn't look anything like Betty. She doesn't act like Betty. She doesn't seem like Betty. Every once in a blue moon, she has a little laugh that's kind of like Betty, and that's it. I don't think she was a good fit. Plus, I'm not a Rosie O'Donnell fan. You see my face? That's why I feel Rosie O'Donnell. And I look like I'm taking a crapola, which represents Rosie O'Donnell. I just don't like her. I thought her talk show sucked. I still remember that stupid thing where she got mad at Tom Selleck for BS stupid reasons, because she didn't know what the hell she was talking about. Because she had Tom Selleck on the talk show, and then about guns and being mad about something that she didn't know what the hell she was talking about. And Tom Selleck was like, what the hell's going on? Does this lady have a meltdown? Felt bad for Mr. Selleck there. And then as the story goes along, Kyle MacLachlan, he's Steeman and Steven. He has a plan to embezzle the company. So he needs a patsy to be vice president. Barney, knowing that Fred needs this, wants this, and is doing poorly, switches tests. So Fred is the number one guy. But when he gets there, then he's overcome with power. He's seduced by Halle Berry, who's named Sharon Stone. He did it because Sharon Stone's a real actress, and it's the Stone Age, so Sharon Stone. There's a lot of puns like that. That's really awful. That was the one that stuck out in my mind, but there's a lot of bad puns dealing with that. And pretty much Fred is told to fire Barney, and then the family has to live with the Flintstone family, and then Halle Berry may try to seduce Fred Flintstone, or more people get fired, or he's told to sign this, but he doesn't know what it is, and the bird, again, nice puppet, nice animatronic, is trying to tell him what's going on, but it's like, oh, yeah, blah, blah, blah. But I'm sitting there going, and I agree, I got maybe with Roger Ebert. I would say I like the film more than him, but I agree with the sentiment. Do people want office politics, embezzlement, assistants trying to seduce and sit on Fred Flintstone's face? Do you want that in a Flintstones movie? Why do we give a shit about office politics? Why do we give a shit about embezzlement schemes in a Flintstones movie? Because then the family splits apart, and then Barney wants nothing to do with Fred because he's being a dick. Then Wilma wants nothing to do with Fred because he's being a dick. Jonathan Winters, cool to see him in there. Old school comedian. Elizabeth Taylor's there to do the typical nasty mother-in-law shtick, which is, you should have married this person, Wilma, because he would have been better. That's been done dozens and dozens of times. And much more in sitcoms. This seems like a bad sitcom plot. That's what it is. It's a bad sitcom plot. And do we really want the Flintstones for a section of the movie to be rich snobs? Rich, unlikable snobs? And also, did we need a scene where giant pterodactyl was shitting on everything? And just big white splashes of shit everywhere? I'm just sitting there going, why? Why is this the case? I just don't understand. I don't understand. It just doesn't work to me. It doesn't work to me. It just... I don't hate the film. It's a short enough film. Fred Flintstone, I mean, John Goodman is giving his all. And I could see him jump off the cartoon to the screen with John Goodman. And John Goodman, this is around the time his films were not really doing the best. I mean, he was in the Babe Ruth film. That didn't really do anything. He was in Teen Ralph, which I don't know if that did anything. That's one of the few films he got to star in. I guess along with this and The Babe. But yeah, at the same time, you could argue this is one of his biggest hits, The Flintstones. Which I find funny when they do these retrospectives, they always skip over The Flintstones. They always like... No, that's not true. There's one he did. He mentioned that story about Always. And he mentioned he liked working with Rick Moranis. So there you go. He mention that. So it's not a film I rewatch. I saw it once or twice as a kid. Like I said, I remember the glass bugs more. And then we watch it and I go, you know what? Like I said, they did a decent job recreating the intro and outro of the cartoon. Casting-wise, I think they got Fred right. The others, I'm not so sure. The practical effects and the set design and the costumes and the environment, they did a nice job. And I agree with the critics. That was where most of the job was put into, not into the script. There's a lot more that should have been put in the script. So it's at best a 2.5 out of 5 star movie. It's not a rant, but I don't hate it. I've seen much worse. I mean, cartoons made from... I mean, I would put this above that Baywatch movie. I just try. It's not a cartoon, but I'm thinking of like TV shows that became movies. I would put this above some of those cartoons, like... I'd probably put this above the Smurfs. I'd put this above... What the hell was that one movie? I'd probably put this above Tom and Jerry and stuff like that, so... I'll take that for what you will. Again, I'm surprised, like, this was a decent-sized hit, but maybe they looked at the writing on the wall and the public perception. They went, I don't know, maybe we shouldn't push our luck. Because I'm surprised they didn't automatically go into a Jetsons movie and other stuff. That's one movie I'm surprised they did not make, was the Jetsons. Like, live-action film. I'm sure there was attempts at it, but... Also surprised Spielberg didn't just direct it himself, since he was so gung-ho about it. Because 93 was Jurassic Park. I don't know what he did in 94. Was it Schindler's List also 93? Maybe he just wanted to take a break, so he just produced this. But, yeah, with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.